Welcome back to the SA Sports Show. Well, it's not always about the sport. It's sometimes about preparing the athletes for sport.
So important these days, Poppy.
And there's so many different passages to get to a destination, isn't there? Stewart
Exactly.
McCully joins us. Stewart, former Bay player, and that's where I've seen you in action before.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so I created a business called Next Level Elite. So it's a program to allow young up-and-coming athletes who are either at state or national level who can get better at what they do.
Yep.
So realised there was a space to support young athletes who actually want to get better at what they're doing. So I created this program which brings them together for 9 weeks and allows them to focus on a different topic each week.
So what sort of things do you do over that 9-week period,
Sure,
Stewie?
so the topics include how to handle the media, public speaking, building your brand, staying focused, preparing for competition, motivation and goal setting as just some of those topics. And then in between, after the group sessions, so the group sessions are essentially getting different athletes from the different sports, and that's the unique thing about it. So it doesn't really happen in too many places.
So how did the idea evolve for you? What got you into it? Because it's just so important these days to prepare.
Great question, KG. And being an ex-footy player and being at a reasonably high level of sport, an ex-teacher, I've always had this love for supporting young people and dabbled in the world of athlete welfare for many years, just as a bit of fun. And then I actually did a graduate certificate in elite athlete mentoring. That's when the penny dropped for me to say, this is what you need to be doing, Stewart. So created a program which I think within a week I pulled together 10 athletes from 10 different sports and allowed them to try out this program and see how it's going. So it's been quite successful. After the group sessions, I do one-on-one sessions with the athletes for about an hour. And that can be about anything.
Really?
So it doesn't need to be about their sport. Their coaches are awesome. The coaches in their sport look after that side of it. So we discuss from time management to how to deal with conflict or injuries or whatever's going on. So I'm the sounding board. I'm sometimes the mum or the dad, but I'm the person who brings a neutral aspect as to what's going on for them. I don't have all the answers, but I've got lots of questions I can throw their way to get them thinking about what they can do.
I really love the concept.
Yeah,
I guess a lot's been made about player welfare at an AFL level and how that's developed you over the last couple of decades probably, and now we feel as though they've got everything right, but there's still little cracks that pop their heads up at innocuous times. What I love about this is the cross-pollinisation, for want of a better word, between sports, because I think that's where you can learn. Everyone's looking for that edge, and I think that's where you might just be able to grab a little bit from others.
Well, what we've really found, Poppy, is that like with some athletes, they've got a group around them. They're part of a team sport. They can definitely benefit from that. But what I've found, the athletes that benefit the most, the ones are generally the individual sports. They don't have that support network around them.
Good point.
So they're the ones that sort of bounce off each other. And so if I can bring them into a position where they can sit in a room with other athletes who can find out, hang on, I'm going through the same thing as you. How do you do it?
Yeah, good point. Stewie, how do you pick the person or the youngster who you want to work with? Is that difficult? That person has to have the right attitude?
Yes. So the whole program is based around giving back. So for me, I help support them. So an athlete coming in part of the group needs to be able to sit in a room with others and give some information, and they'll in return receive that. So I speak to a lot of coaches, sports organisations, or just referrals. So I tap some of them on the shoulder, and others, the sports come to me and go, "You need to see
this bloke,
this young person to get a part of it." So we've had a real mix of sports. We've had from triathlon, lawn bowls, lacrosse, swimming.
What else have we got? And dice,
cycling. We've had Jess Trengove was part of the program earlier this year. And for Jess, it was about preparing herself for Rio, and hence getting on board with other athletes. I've got a young cyclist at the moment, Pat Constable, just been to his first Olympics as well. for them it's about growing themselves, and that's the whole idea, helping grow young athletes for them to develop the confidence to go for it. So it's fun.
And it's interesting you bring up someone like Jess Trengrove, who's got a coach in Adam Didak, I think, from memory, and Adam and her would have a great relationship, I'm sure. But I think, as you pointed out before, being that neutral, being that person that you, I don't know, I think sometimes you speak more openly with someone you don't know rather than someone you do because you're always guarded.
Yes.
I think. Yeah. But I think the interesting thing too, Stu, is that it's really hard to quantify. How do you quantify the success of the course? Because it's not a faster time or a bigger height you jump or something like that. How do you...
Well, it's been interesting. In the last couple of weeks, I've had 2 athletes who have now about to move into state.
Yes.
Which is sad for me. Yeah. But it's actually it's a real measure of success because those people have grown within themselves. One, as a triathlete, decided to move to Queensland to pursue those opportunities, and the other has got a contract to move within their sport to another state. For them, they wouldn't have even looked at doing that 6 months ago. Okay. So that shows the confidence in themselves to step outside the comfort zone, and that's something we try to do quite a lot within this to, give them a little bit of a prod, but just let them go and play, but understand that they can actually do it on their own, and that's what I get a kick out of.
It's very interesting, Cage, because these athletes, one, they grow up loving the sport, and then they realise they're good at it, so they practice all the things you need to be better at it.
Correct.
But the things they don't spend time on are those little areas that we're discussing.
And it plays such an important role now.
And when you shift interstate, for instance, as a young athlete, they're probably not sure what to expect. They've never lived out of home.
Sure, and even the parents sort of, I've had some parents have come to me and gone, we're not sure what to do. No. So I chat to them as well. It's all about the whole support network, and if that can be part of helping young athletes move forward, then that's what Next Level Lead is all about.
How many young people do you work with at one given time, Stewie?
Yeah, generally work on groups of about 5. 5? Yep. That way they all get a bit more airtime. Yep. Bigger groups, less airtime, but also we get more one-on-one, and so they could be sitting in a group with Stewart O'Grady, and they've got access to that person to actually have more one-on-one time and ask as many questions as you like. So,
see, working with people like Stewart O'Grady, that'd be sensational.
Well, money can't buy that.
Of course it can't.
It's what connections and this sort of system does. Do you, as part of the business growing, have you looked at it and gone, wow, find yourself learning as you go as well?
Oh, it's been awesome for me. I had a young guy as a pro surfer. I went to see my first surfing competition. So I sat with his dad for an hour in the sand dunes and learned about the sport. But I need to understand, and that's what I do. I go and watch the sport. I understand by watching and learning from their parents or their coaches or their events so I'm still learning. So I'm the one who actually benefits out of this as well.
You better jump on the board, son.
I reckon you should. I reckon you should.
A damn big board.
So how do potential athletes and or coaches at any level, I guess, get in contact with you?
Yeah, sure. So we've got a website, Next Level Elite.
Yep.
And you can get on there and look at what the program looks like. People just contact me either through their sports or just check it out. So, look, it's lots of fun. It's forever growing, and there's always going to be new athletes.
It's a great concept.
Yeah, I really like it a lot. Stewart McCully, well done. Thanks, Stu. Thanks a lot. Stewart McCully from Next Level Elite. So if you're wanting your son or your daughter or you yourself want to learn more about getting better.
Too late for you and I?
I don't think it's ever too late, Cage. I reckon I've still got a couple good weeks left in me.
Like hell you have.
The SA Sports Show. We cover all sorts of sports and those people involved behind the scenes as well. As you just heard from Stewart McCully, Next Level Elite. Next up, we'll be talking more sport on the SA Sports Show.